Good evening. My name is Lindsay McGackie. I'm the Director of Special Education here at Deer Lakes, and I'm just here to give you a little bit of information regarding the new program we're implementing in the district called the Oveus Bullying Prevention Program. Prior to coming to the district, one of my previous roles, I was a certified trainer, so I'm able to train the staff here as well as then continue to support the teams and the committees through the process. So what we wanted to talk about first was the fact that we're implementing this program. It is a K-12 initiative, and we've been able to get some additional funding to start this program thanks to the parent organizations here in the district as well as the Highmark Foundation. And what we first start by talking about with all of our staff, but also all of our parents and then also all of our students, is the definition of what bullying is. And what we talk about through this program is what they define bullying as and what has become a common understanding of what that is. And what it is when someone repeatedly or on purpose says or does mean or hurtful things to another person who has a hard time defending themselves. It can be indirect or direct. So yes, we know it can be hitting or physical aggression, but it can also be verbal things. We know it can also be things like excluding students, spreading rumors about others, and we know that it can happen online as well. And that being said, what we've also learned through a lot of the research is still to the most part, most bullying is actually still occurring in the physical or in verbal. Although we hear a lot about cyberbullying, the research shows it's actually still not quite as high as some of the other incidents that are going on. And we also want to emphasize that there is that hard time defending himself or herself. We talk about in the training that that's really an imbalance of power, and that can be a lot of different ways. It could be that there's a student that maybe doesn't have the ability to defend themselves physically. It could be emotionally, but there's usually a reason that something is going on, and those people aren't on equal footing, we say. If two students come in and have a fight, they have a fight and it's done with, that's a little bit different than the bullying, because there's somewhere that child is not really able to defend themselves or able to seek help afterwards, and it's usually something that continues over time. That being said, we also emphasize that we don't wait for a pattern or something to become repeated. We want to intervene the first time it happens, but we know through a lot of the research that usually what we see is that if not addressed, that the true bullying would go on and be continued repeatedly. And again, that talks about the three components of the actual behavior. We know that it's an aggressive act. The aggression can be, like I said, verbal, it can be physical, it can be more of an emotional aggression. It is a pattern of repetition over time, and again, there's that imbalance of power that I mentioned. The program that we're implementing was created by Dan Oveus. He's actually out of Norway. It started back in the 1970s. Then it came over to the United States. Clemson University actually brought it over and is the place that now supports the training and the trainers here in the United States. It is the most researched bullying prevention program out there, and it is the most well-known, which is one of the reasons that it was chosen for the district. Although the research shows about how that it's become effective, and actually a lot of the research comes out of Pennsylvania, especially when we're looking at the way it's implemented in high schools. A lot of those pilot programs started in Pennsylvania. The program is designed for all students. It's not just the students who are being bullied or students who are bullying others. It's a preventative and responsive program. It's not just waiting until something happens. And it's also looking at changing what we know is going on in schools and looking at the climate of schools and really encouraging students to be respectful, aware of each other, and making it understood that it's not something we tolerate here and that everybody should be watching out for each other. Again, we know that it's research-based and it's not time-limited. It is something we work on over time, and it's something that we continue to implement over time. It's not like we started the program at the beginning of this school year and it's done at the end of the school year. It's an ongoing process. The goals of the program are to reduce the current bullying problems that could be going on among the students. We also want to make sure that we're doing things to prevent new incidents and events from occurring, and that we're also just generally looking to achieve better peer relationships in school and have those respectful encounters amongst all of the students. There are four main components to the program, and then the other one we know are all of yourselves. The parents are also an important piece of this. The components start with the school-wide component, and that looks at a variety of things we do at a school level. That is that we train committees in each of the buildings to learn about the program for 2 days. They were trained, and those are the people spearheading this initiative in the buildings. All of the staff in the district have been trained. The teachers were trained for an entire day, and then we're working to set up staff Our paraprofessionals were trained, and then we'll be looking to train all of the other staff that are in the buildings as well. They were all trained, and then we also know that we did a school-wide survey of students. That survey started in the late elementary grades. We didn't really target the Curtisville students at that time because the online survey doesn't usually go that young. But back in the spring, we surveyed all of the students, and that's done annually in every spring, to ask students what's going on in the building anonymously. They can report online if anything's happened to them, if they've done anything to other students, what has happened, where did it happen, and that data is something that our committees and all of the district staff can look at to try to target where do we need to make sure that we're watching students. Do we know that this is going on, and making sure that we have effective interventions? And then the data each year will allow us to see if we're making a difference. So those are things we're doing at a school-wide level. At a classroom level, we'll be working with the teachers that they will have rules that they go over with all of their students, and then either weekly or every other week, they'll actually be having class meetings with all of their students, where they introduce the program, they talk about what the rules are, but then most importantly, they start to have conversations to build relationships with all of the students so that they see that they should be watching out for each other, that there are adults who are concerned about what's going on with them, that there are safe people they can go to if they have a concern. Individually, we also train all of the staff, and we'll be making sure that they're all trained on how to intervene if they see something happen. So we know that even when we put all of these positive things in place, there's going to still be some incidents that happen. So we're putting in place what those people do to intervene as soon as they see something, as well as what to do if they hear that something's happened. And then we're addressing that with how do we work with a student that was bullied, how do we work with a student that had bullied somebody, what do we do with the students who observed it? And we're what we call bystanders, and part of that maybe didn't say anything but saw it, as well as then informing families and parents and guardians when something has happened. And then we're looking into the community as far as what kind of partnerships we can build to spread the word for where students might be after school, what can be done, what kind of rules we're doing here to see if anybody's interested in implementing them, as well as looking for partnerships to help continue to spread the word as well as support the program here in the district. And then the parents, we're sharing this information with you. I also have handouts out front that I put to give you some information about what the program is, tips if your student has possibly been bullied or you're suspecting that they have been, or if they've witnessed it, as well as some information about cyberbullying. And this is also kind of on the handouts, but just to touch out for you. What do you do if you think that your child is being bullied? Obviously, talk with your child, see if you can get any information out of what they're saying. Try to find out more maybe about what is going on at their school life. Sometimes maybe their friends might be more willing to tell you something that's going on than your own child. And obviously share your concerns with your child's teacher and then the principal. Also, you can touch base with the guidance counselor as well. And I know sometimes this is a point of concern for families because there's always that fear of retribution or retaliation. But while we're really trying to catch it before it happens, or we're trying to catch it when we see it, we also can't help unless we know. And part of the program is giving consequences. So if we know that something's going on, then we can give consequences appropriately to the children involved that might be doing something, but we can also be proactive in making sure that we're watching where that was happening and paying attention so that it doesn't happen again. But we need that information to be able to guide our actions. Some other things the program says you can do if you're suspecting maybe their child's being bullied is to, I know while difficult, make sure to just focus right now on what's going on with your child. When you call and want to know what's happening with the other children involved, understand that there's a limit to what we can share confidentiality-wise as far as the consequences that could be imposed on other children. Share those concerns again with the teacher and the principal. Encourage them maybe to look for some other friends or other students who maybe are not part of the issue at that time. See if there's opportunities outside of school doing evening events or football games, things like that, where they can go out and get to see some different people that they might not have the class with that could be of a concern. Teach them safety strategies, and really when we mean safety strategies, we mean make sure that they understand that there's an adult at school they can go to report this to. Not necessarily safety as in physically defend yourself, but more like go and seek help. Tell somebody that it's going on. Again, make sure that they understand and feel supported at home. By no means is it any children's fault if something happens to them. And then if you can continue to feel that they need some help, whether it's managing the stress if something has happened to them or coping with an event that occurred, please contact the district social worker and he'll be able to work through that with you as well and your child. So that's all I have, and if you have any questions, I will be available afterwards. And like I said, we have some handouts if you'd like to take anything home outside.